So, hi everyone, and welcome to this talk about developing for smart TV. So, let's get this show started. Previously on TVoxx. No, it doesn't work. Where's the sound? Okay, that's a miss effect. Let's do it again. Previously on TVoxx.
It's rather a big announcement for me because I'm letting go of one of my babies. I'm actually stopping with Parallax. And the reason why I'm stopping with Parallax is that these guys, they've just basically are at a stage where you can broadcast or publish full HD videos in a heartbeat, and it doesn't even cost a penny. Right. So I'm actually migrating all of the Parallax, all of the TVoxx talks from the last editions on YouTube, and you'll be able to find them.
Okay, so if you didn't recognize the voice, that was Stefan Janssens last year, right here, announcing that they were publishing all the talks videos from all the TVoxx on YouTube and Vimeo. And we were in the room and we started to wonder, okay, but everything will be on YouTube in one big giant bag where it's going to be hard to find and hard to consume, basically. And we were looking at this new platform that just came up back then, was smart TVs, meaning Apple TV and Android TV mostly. And we thought, okay, that would be a nice opportunity to develop an app. And that's where the idea for TVoxx came up. So basically, we already had worked on the smart TV, the smartwatch apps, so the Apple Watch and the Android Wear apps for TVoxx to use during the event and even before to prepare your favorite talks. And we wanted to do this TVoxx app for consuming the content after. And that's what we used basically to discover the platform, and we wanted to share the experience with you today. So, the agenda for this talk. First, we'll get to know each other a little bit. Then, we'll look at why you would be interested in developing a smart TV app, which devices you can develop for right now. And of course, since it's a new platform, it comes with new rules, and we'll see what the general principles are. And then we'll look at how you design a smart TV app. Of course, it has a few differences with the usual apps, I would say. And of course, we'll show some code and how you can, what are the specific aspects of developing for this platform. Show you a small TVoxx demo if you have some time, and then conclude. So let's get started. First of all, let's get to know you a little bit. So who has a smart TV? Okay, quite a few people. So those smart TVs are just connected TVs. Now, a little bit more, who has a set-top box of some kind, like a free box, a Bouygues box, a VU box, or even more specific box?
Raspberry box.
Raspberry box, okay, quite a few people actually. Who has already read their TV? Okay, never mind. That's the kind of thing you only read when it doesn't switch on, Why? Okay. Who has already developed a smart TV app? A couple of people. Okay. Cool. Who is a mobile developer? Either iOS, Android.
Okay.
Maybe a few Windows mobile. Okay. Who owns a TV again? Stupid question. Who already appeared on TV? Some famous people in the room. Okay. Anyway, just a few words about us. So I'm Sebastien Arbogast. I've been a Java developer for over 10 years now. Also an iOS developer, whether on iPhone or on Apple Watch, obviously. Also, I developed the smartwatch app last year, the extension for the watch. By the way, if you have an Apple Watch, you can still browse the TVoxx schedule on your watch. And I developed the TVoxx app also. I'm very big fan of agile and lean startup methodologies. I'm a blockchain enthusiast. It's another topic that we gave a talk about yesterday. If you want to check the video out, you can see it on TVoxx, of course. I blog about the future on futurologist.co, and I'm a founder of my own consulting company.
And I'm Saïd Eloudrhiri. So on my day-to-day activity, so yes, I've started my career past century in 1992, and I'm an agile coach, scrum master, team lead. Yeah, I'm also a trainer for the TVoxx for kids. And I develop application. I have developed smartwatches that is embedded in my TVoxx Android smartphone app. I have developed the TVoxx Android TV application. I'm also a blockchain developer for chain skills. I have predicted to have 3 kids, and yes, it's okay. I'm a fatherologist, and I have an entrepreneur. I've created my own company.
So just a few disclaimers before we start. We are not related to any company, either Apple, Google, or anything. We're just working for ourselves, and we're just sharing our experience, basically. We are not smart TV experts. We're just curious developers, as I said. And yeah, that's the lawyer thing. Anyway, so first of all, why would you develop a smart TV app? What's the goal of that? And why it could be interesting? To talk about that, let's start by looking at what the old TV looked like before. Well, first of all, it was very passive, and everything, all the interactivity was limited to what you could do by just changing channel, and you had very few of those. And even the advertising itself was pretty much inescapable. So basically, you could either enjoy it or go to the toilets. Those were your two choices. That's basically it. Of course, the main device that you could enjoy the content on was the TV set. And if you were very rich, you had one in the bedroom, but otherwise it was just in the living room. And it was all channel based, so you could only watch what's on right now. There is no catch-up TV, there was no TV on demand, and stuff like that. Of course, the new TV has changed a lot over the years. Now it's all interactive. It's pretty much all the time connected to the internet. You have way more TV channels. You can also watch custom content. What we call custom content is content produced not just by big networks, but also by individuals, like stuff that you can find on YouTube and so on. You can also play games. So the smart TV often becomes its own game console to a certain extent. You can integrate with devices, including your own smartphone, that becomes a second screen. You can even connect it with your smart home installation if you have any. You have catch-up TV and TV on demand to actually watch content pretty much when you want, and not just when it's on. And what's even more important for us, of course, it has apps. And as a big philosopher of our time said, we believe the future is apps. The future of TV is apps. Okay. So a few examples of kinds of apps that can make sense on smart TVs. Well, first of all, of course, multimedia content. So if you already have a repository of multimedia content, it can be very interesting to make it available on this kind of platform. So everything from sports leagues to TVoxx, for example. Of course, games are really interesting on this kind of platform, even though you cannot really go to the same level of detail and power than what you can find in high-end, I would say, game console. And still, I mean, you'll see that the box that we're using here is very powerful. But yeah, you can definitely play games on this kind of things. And also, there's what we call apropos services. So imagine that you're watching a movie with your wife, and at some point you say, I'm hungry, let's order some food. You can just pause your content, switch to another app that allows you to order the food, and then come back to your movie, all that without leaving your couch. So it can be very interesting. And of course, without taking out your phone and actually enjoying the content on a big screen. And another aspect that's really interesting with a TV, usually you can have several users in front of the TV. So you can offer experience that leverages the fact that you have a group. And so, for example, you can do fitness kind of things and stuff like that. And of course, it's not just showing linear content. You can also show interactive content to inspire and teach. Another kind of apps that can be interesting, because a TV is not just used in the living room. Sometimes it's also used as a way to show information in a public place, in a public space. So For example, a lot of you are developers, I'm sure. So you have already felt the need of showing the status of your CL builds, where you can do it on an app like that, using an Apple TV as a device. And of course, as I said, the smart TV can be connected to your smart home installation, so you can use it as a hub for this kind of use cases. So as you can see, quite a few kinds of applications that really make sense specifically on a smart TV. Now, of course, when you spend all that time developing apps, the next question is, how do I make money? How do I monetize all that effort? Well, there again, there are quite a few business models. The first one, the most obvious one, is definitely app sales. So you can sell your app for a small amount. It has to be small because, I mean, you're asking people to pay for it. But still, it works. Of course, the most popular model is definitely in-app purchases. So you make your app free, but then you sell content from within the app. Basically, your app becomes like a content store. I took the example here of Udemy. It's an app, it's an e-learning app, but you can buy courses directly from within the app itself. You can also use in-content ads. So most of the SDKs give you some great content customization possibilities to insert advertisements directly in the content. And of course, you have platforms online to manage this insertion of ads. So it's also a revenue model. And last one is kind of a variant of the in-app purchase model, but you can also sell subscriptions from within the app, and then people will pay automatically every month, for example, until they cancel the subscription. So again, as you can see, quite a few models to monetize your app, so it can be very interesting. Now let's talk about the devices on which you can develop this kind of apps, and for that, I hand the mic to Said.
Okay, guys, you have to prepare your credit card. We are going to make some shopping. And we start with Apple. So as you know, Apple is not building TV sets, but a set-top box. And with Apple TV, you have, yes, this kind of specification. Apple TV is running tvOS. It's a derivative from iOS, the OS that is used on smartphones and tablets. So it's the fourth generation. And unfortunately, Apple TV is not 4K compliant. So it's sad. And now Google with the Android TV, and well, for Android TV you have these television sets, and a partnership that have been signed between vendors and Google, and you have Philips, Sharp, and Sony that provides a lot of television sets. And I will say that in this panel of vendors, Sony is really the winners. So if you want to make Android TV apps and you have Android televisions pre-installed with Android TV, first you have to check that the vendor has not locked the debugging port, because sometimes you will buy a television, you will plug it to Android Studio and it will not work because the vendor has locked everything. So you have to be really careful about that. So television set bundled with Android TV is one kind of product, but we are in the Android ecosystem. So you have a lot of set-top boxes that are ready to use, ready to buy. You have Android version 6, Android version 5, you have 4K and not 4K, you have remote control, and you have a keyboard, you have display or not, and you have the version black and black and black and black with an antenna. So you have the choice. So when you want to buy an Android TV set-top box, your face will look like this guy. Because you are, confused with the fragmentation. But, we have also the same problem with the smartphones. My choice is the Nvidia Shield device, this one. It's really a cool device, bundled with Android TV 6.0. It's really a game console, but it allows you to create media application, such as TVoxx, of course. And it's really powerful, up to 5 gigabyte of disk and 4K ready. So yes, it's really a very good device. And you have of course, the hot topic, Samsung smart TV set. But Samsung, yes, you have great models in terms of smart TV, but it's running a specific version of specific operating system called Tizen, and yes.
And I think you also have other specific smart TV platforms like that. But I mean, the more specific they are, the more limited your market is. And every time it's a new OS, it's a new language, it's a new platform. So you have to, spend some effort to develop specifically for that.
Let's have a look on the platform and the rules that we have to respect.
So again, it's a new platform and it comes with new rules, and especially in terms of design. The first one that you have to take into account is that contrary to your smartphone or your laptop, the screen is not 1 feet away from your user, but it's 10 feet away. And this has a lot of implications in terms of how you make the information visible, the fonts that you use, the visuals that you use, and the overall UX design of your app. So it's very important to take that into account. Another kind of problem with that is that the user will not just stand up and touch the TV to interact with it. So you have to take that into account. Another general principle is you can use the fact that in front of the TV there might be more than one user. And so contrary to your phone or your laptop that is pretty much a personal device, your TV is more of a shared device, and you can leverage that in your app, and you're really you're better off doing it. Another aspect is about the input methods. So forget about keyboards, really. I mean, usually most smart TV devices come with not that kind of device, not even with that kind of remote. That's the old kind with all the buttons, and you don't even know what they mean because the labels keep being erased after some time. But rather with that kind of device. So you have like a directional pad, you have a couple of action buttons, and that's pretty much it. So the user interface in that way is very limited. The one thing that it gets added compared to most, to the web and stuff like that, is voice control. So you can use, for example, on the Apple TV, on the remote directly, you have a microphone, and you can just input text and dictate text directly into the app. And you can use that on a lot of smart TV platforms. So that can be very powerful. And the last aspect is that contrary to your laptop or your smartphone, your TV is always connected. I mean, once you connect it to your Wi-Fi or to your wired network or to your Ethernet, it's always there. So you have to use that to some extent.
It depends. If you divorce, it's not always connected.
Yeah. Oh. We won't get into that. So how do you design now a smart TV app? We're going to start with how those principles apply on Android TV. So, by the way, we're just focusing on Android TV and Apple TV because they are the biggest platforms in terms of number of users right now, and probably the easiest to develop for, I guess. But yeah, again, there are other platforms, just to give you an idea. So let's start with design principles on Android TV.
Okay, with Android TV, when you start another TV device, you have this home screen, and this home screen is part of the lean-back launcher. A lean-back launcher allows you to present the information in this way. On the top, you have the search, you have the recommendation row where you will find some information that are promoted by application. You have the apps row, and the apps row is really important because there you will find the pre-installed application, YouTube, Google Play, etc., and all your applications that you have developed and deployed on Google Play. And Google has decided to split the apps from the games. So you have a specific games row that is dedicated for games. That means that when you create a game application, you will have to set a value on your manifest file to say, hey guy, I'm creating a game application. And when Google will accept your application, your game, it will store it on this row. At the bottom of the home screen, because of course the home screen is scrollable, you will find the settings, allows you to Yes, to plug your TV to the network, to install or to clear your cache, or to do whatever you want. For example, updating your operating system. So let's focus on these two rows, apps and games. And here, okay, you have a game, and a game is really complex, and a media application. But for the games, I will tell you that you are free to develop the game as you want. So it's really custom layout. But for the media application, as we did for TVoxx, you are not obliged, but you can use a version of library delivered by Google, the leanback support library. And the strength of this leanback support library is that all the plumbing is ready. It's done for you. For example, leanback support library is compatible with the material design, a specific material design that respects the 10-foot UI design rules for the television. And you have a set of views that are ready to use. The browse views with the left part that are used to display your categories or your tracks. A search area, an area for your logo, etc. And also the area on the right side that allows you to display your cart. And this card will contain the information that you want to display to the user. And if we focus on the list of cards, it's really focus based, and it will use the directional pad of your remote control. And a card, if we have to detail the card, so it's quite simple. You have large icon, content text, small icon, and of course this version of view that is provided by the leanback is ready to use. You just have to customize the image, the title, the subtitle, depending your requirements. But you are free to not use the one provided by the leanback and to create your own, as we did for TVoxx. When you click on a card, you have the detail view, and the detail view provides you action button, title, subtitle, BO, background image, thumbnail image, etc. All these components are provided by the leanback. Of course, you can customize parts that you want, and all the animation part, etc., is already provided for you by the leanback support library. And here is a view of how the image are managed by the detail view. If you have media content, such as video, you have something that is already available from the leanback support library. The consumption view, you can play, pause, forward, etc. It's already ready. The in-app search, you can search information from your app. You can customize your application. You have some widgets that you can use. So you can see that here, it's quite easy. If you have Android skills, it's quite easy to create a brand new Android TV app. You just have to use leanback support library and to customize things for you, to create your logic, and that's it. If you are not happy with what is provided by leanback support library, you are free to create your custom views.
Okay. So on the Apple TV side of things, well, pretty much like for all the platforms that they introduce, Apple provides this human interface guidelines document, which, by the way, I always encourage all developers to read. It's not just for designers, and yeah, they define 3 design principles, and then they derivate a lot of rules from those. So the first principle is connected, and by connected we don't mean connected to the internet, but connected to the user. Because as I said, when you're watching your smart TV, you're doing it from the comfort of your couch, and you just have a remote in your hand. You're not going to stand up to touch the screen to interact with it. So it creates kind of a disconnection between the app, between the content, and the user. And there are ways to kind of re-establish this connection through the remote. And that's something that Apple really insisted on. So on the Apple TV Siri remote, you have this touch surface on the top that allows you to have all sorts of interactions that you can see the feedback immediately on the user interface. So here, for example, you can see what happens when we scroll horizontally on the screen. And this kind of connection between the user and the app is really encouraged as a core design principle. Second aspect is clarity. So make your user interfaces as readable as possible from a distance. So be aware that when you work on your laptop, it's not the same as when it's going to be displayed on a TV. And try to minimize the content that you show in any given screen. Use visuals as much as possible, graphics, images, and animations, of course, to show how the content can be navigated and so on. And the last important aspect is immersion. So basically, content is king. If you have some content to show, put it big on the screen, minimize the number of controls, use the buttons on the remotes for what they are done, and don't put, I mean, for example, a cancel button on the screen is pretty much useless because you always have this back button on the remote. So people are used to cancel by clicking the back button on the remote. So really put your content front and forward. So those are the three core design principles. Now, how do they translate in the interface? Well, as on Android TV, you have this home screen. The specificity here is that you have a special row of apps that is kind of your dock, the equivalent of your dock on your smartphone, where you put your favorite apps. And whenever you select, you focus on one of those apps, then some content can get extracted from this app and shown on this showcased on the top shelf. So the top shelf is really a way to build some shortcuts to your content directly on the home screen. And it's being used for the TVoxx app, you will see, to show your favorite talks and also the highest rated talks. So this is really interesting. Also another aspect, and that really goes into connecting the app with the user again. It might seem like a gadget, but it's really powerful. The notion of focus and parallax. So again, at any given point in time, there's just one control that has the focus, and that means that when the user clicks the touch surface, that's the control that's going to be activated. So you need to show this focus as obviously as possible, and of course, one way is just to make it more obvious by using size and fonts and so on. But another way is by using parallax. So basically, you can design your content wherever you display custom graphics. You can display graphics that is layered so that it shows like that in a sort of 3D effect when you use the touch surface on the mouse. On the remote. And of course, Apple provides some tools to make that process easier. Again, so the Apple TV comes. That's one advantage of course, Apple, who does both the hardware and the software. You know what you're starting from. You always have the Siri remote delivered with all the Apple TVs, and the user interface is pretty much well known. So you have those buttons. You have a button to activate Siri. You have a play pause button, menu and home, and you have the touch surface. And the Siri remote also has a microphone and a gyroscope and an accelerometer. So you can also detect movements that way. But that's pretty much it. You can also buy some additional game controllers, but that's optional. So you shouldn't assume that users have those. And always, if you want to, for example, for games, if you want to suggest people to use one, always explain how to connect it and take into account the fact that they can use the Siri remote. They can even put the Siri remote in landscape mode to kind of simulate a game controller of sorts. But yeah, always take that into account. In terms of navigation, again, focus. Most of the time you don't have to do anything to take that into account, except create some layered content. But yeah, most of the controls already integrate that, and you have all these ways to show the focused control more obviously by putting it forward in bigger format with more text and so on. Also, on a smart TV, you don't have a status bar, contrary to a smartphone or a laptop. So you cannot show that something is happening on a network. If you're just loading stuff and you don't show something to the user, then he's going to think that something went wrong. So always make that very obvious. In terms of layout, well, one good thing is that you only have landscape mode to support, because it's very rare that you turn your TV on the side. It's too heavy anyway. And most of the time, at least for now, the main resolution that you have to support is the 1920 by 1080 resolution. There are still a few TVs in 720p, but it's pretty rare. And of course, you should always take into account some margin around the side, because the application can be scaled. There are some differences for that. And always take into account this focus aspect for your margins. And also on the smart TV, you cannot show scroll bars. They would not be visible from the couch. So one way of showing that there is more content that's what is currently visible is to show some partial content on the sides. Of course, the grids are everywhere, because that's how you can scroll through them with the TV remote. And the good thing is that Apple also, like the leanback library for Android, you have all sorts of basic templates that are provided that you can use or not, and that you can customize a lot, of course. So, for example, here you have a catalog with categories. This is an album. This is the content, the detail screen for content, and you can reuse those, or you can create your own. And as I showed earlier with the Parallax, this is how basically it works. This is the settings icon for the that you can find on the home screen, and this is how it's implemented. So it's just a 5-layer image. In terms of user interface element, the library is the same as on iOS. It's UIKit, but of course some of the controls have been deactivated for tvOS. There are a few controls that are only available on tvOS. And of course, all of the common controls have been adapted specifically to the use case of a big screen. So, for example, tab bars are not at the bottom; they are at the top, and they don't show the same way. Maybe you can show icons. I'm not sure anymore. Anyway, you can use tables and collections the same way as you do on iOS. Most of the time, it's collections. It's quite rare to show tables, because tables are mostly for text content and stuff like that. But collection views are really useful on this platform. You can split content in different views. Of course, you have text content elements like text fields and search fields and so on. But again, be very careful. Use them as little as possible, because it's really painful when you have to use the on-screen keyboard with your remote to input content. So, I mean, basically authentication, to type email address and password, and search field, sorry, but that's pretty much it. Of course, you have buttons, you have navigation bars, you have alerts, and all that to ask questions to the users. So, enough with the design stuff. We want to see some code. So let's go to how you develop.
Okay, what's behind the scene? If we have a look on TVoxx, the Android TV version, of course, it's Android. You develop it using Java. Your IDE is Android Studio. And the minimum SDK level is Android 5.0 Lollipop, because Android TV was born with Android 5.0. The required library is the leanback library, of course. The recycle view, it will be used to optimize the display of images. Don't forget that you are on TV and you have to increase the user experience, and you have some support libraries that are required by leanback. If you want to create an application for Android TV and wants to deploy it to Android TV Google Play Store, you have to respect some constraints, because there are some constraints. For example, an Android TV app doesn't support touch screen, doesn't support telephony. You can try to phone with your television, it's not working. Camera is not supported. NFC, no. GPS, if you want to make an application like a Pokemon Go with your TV, you know, walking on your garden, it's not working, it's not supported, and no sensors. What does it mean? It means that for Android TV, you can create a mix app, an app that will be used on your smartphone and on your Android TV. But if you require some features, you don't have to set required true, for example, GPS or sensors. Otherwise, the TV part of your application will not be accepted by Google Play team. And as for Apple, there are limitations for the screen orientation. You just have to support the landscape mode. If your activity support portrait, user portrait, whatever, the Google Play team will refuse your application because it will not respect the TV app quality. And the TV app quality, you have to read this file. You have to check that your application is compliant with all the rules defined by Google. And if your app is refused, well, you can have some surprise, as you will see later. So the IDE is Android Studio. You already know this. This IDE is based on IntelliJ. To create an Android TV app, so it's quite obvious, new project. And here you have to take the TV support to define the minimum SDK. And then you can create an application with some plumbing here. For example, Android TV activity. Well, the bad news is that some features are already deprecated. For example, the details view, it's an older version, so I don't recommend to use this kind of activity. So my recommendation is to create an application, a brand new application with no activity. Your manifest of your application, so as you can see here, the features such as touch screen must not be required by your application. And if you want to create an application that will be only supported by Android TV devices, you have to set true for the leanback support. It's really required. And your activity, so if your application, the banner of your application has to be displayed by the leanback launcher, you know, the home screen of your Android TV, you will have to set this thing, leanback launcher, as the intent filter. This is, yes, just few customization to make on your manifest file. And if we have a look on the list of talks, this is a list of talks of TVoxx. Well, beyond the scene, we have this this layout. This is the layout that will customize the view, and that's it. This is what we have, because everything, the magic will be done on the fragment. And the talks fragment that we use for the list of talks extend the browse fragment. And the browse fragment is a fragment coming from the leanback support library with a set of APIs, helpers, and of course widgets ready to use. And you obtain something like that. So with the category, the search, and the rows that you have to, of course, customize and fill with your model. So here you will have to customize your list of adapter with the presenter, the list of rows that will be linked to your track, to your category on the left side. And that's it. And this is an example of how to load the rows on this view. So we'll get the data coming from a remote service application that has been created using Spring Boot, but it's another topic. And you just have to fill your data, to customize your view, and that's it. And your view will be ready. And remember, we said that if you are not happy with what is provided by default by the leanback support library, you are free to create your own view. This is what we have done with this card, because we would like to display the watch list icon, you know, the heart, number 2, and also the duration of the talk, and a rating bar at the bottom of the card. This is what we have done, and here, if you know Android development, so it's quite easy. You create your own layout and you inflate your layout on your code. That's it. and to play your video. So on the detail view, you have the play action. What we have done, just to call the YouTube API player, that's it. We provided the video ID, and that's it. It will call the YouTube application that is provided by default on Android TV. You can emulate your application, of course, if you have no device or if you want to test your application in different screen resolution or with different version of the SDK. It's possible, but, well, I would say it's obvious. Emulator versus real device, okay, it's free, it supports several API. The cons is that I will say the most important problem that we have with the Android TV emulator that it's not support. You have missing apps and services. For example, YouTube is not provided in the emulator. As we use YouTube, it's quite a problem to make an end-to-end testing of our application. Android Studio provides the layout editor, but there is a lack of support of the leanback library, so it's not quite useful. And here, for example, what we have used for TVoxx, this is the set of fragments that we have used from the leanback support library. The home page is a browse fragment. Same for the list of talks. Speakers and watch list are a vertical grid fragment. We have search that is using the search fragment from the leanback, and also we are also using the in-app settings that is a leanback settings fragment. And you know, we are creating an Android TV app, but it's an Android application. This means that for the 10-foot UI design, it's the leanback support library, and for the rest, well, guys, it's the same as for a smartphone, where we have used Retrofit as a REST client interface, Glide for the caching, image caching. We cache the information on the television. I think that it's not possible on Apple TV, and we use Realm mobile database, Android annotation for all the plumbing, dependency injection, etc. YouTube Android Player API provided by Google, and an event bus because we send messages from between activities and services. So now you are ready to become a rich guy, so you are ready to deploy your application to Google Play. The process, it's the same as for a standard Android application, but you don't have to forget to tick the option Android TV. Otherwise, your application will not be published on the Google Play for Android TV store. And if you have a chance, yes, your application will be approved by Google and visible on the Play Store. If you have a problem, you will receive this kind of message. Oh, yes, your application is not approved by for Android TV. You have to review the TV app quality, but you have no information. So you are in trouble because you don't know what's happening. So you have to ask Google Play. And it takes 2 hours, 24 hours, 48 or 72 hours. So it's quite painful to receive, to know exactly what's happening with your application.
And it speaks from experience.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the Apple side of things, so on Apple TV, the development environment is very similar to the one that we have on iOS as well. It's using Xcode, of course. And here you have new templates for projects. What's interesting to understand is that on the Apple TV, you have basically 2 ways to develop your apps, either using native code and Swift and all that to build your app like you would on an iOS app. But you also have another method devised by Apple that's called TVML. What TVML is, it's pretty much the same way, the same architecture than usual HTML apps, basically. So you can have a server that generates TVML content dynamically, and TVML is just an XML dialect, and also sends some JavaScript. And then the app loads those TVML layouts from the web and displays them, and can run also the JavaScript code to manipulate this content. This is the method that is used by Apple for all their content catalogs. So the App Store, the Music Store, the Movie Store, and so on. They're all implemented using that. The big advantage, of course, is that you can modify the layout and the way that the content is presented without having to release a new version of your app. So that's kind of the biggest advantage. But of course, it's only adapted to that kind of apps. As soon as you need some custom layouts, something like a game or even some more advanced media content, and you're pretty confident that the presentation is going to remain stable, then you're better off using the native method. So just to show you an example, this is a short sample of TVML, and this allows you to create that kind of layout. And of course, you have some TVML sample code to code all the templates that we mentioned before, the catalog, the album, the content detail, and so on. But that's not the method that we used for TVoxx. For TVoxx, we used the good old custom Swift method. And there, the good thing is that you can use actually the interface builder. So in the TVML app, you're on your own for design. You don't have an interface builder. But for native Swift, you can use interface builder. So you can drag and drop components on your layout. It's pretty comfortable, especially in the latest version of Xcode. Before that, you had to be in 100% zoom mode to actually manipulate content. It was kind of clumsy because when you're on a laptop, your screen is too small, so you have to scroll. I mean, it was a mess. Now with the newest version of Xcode, they figured that out, and you can work on your layout even at 50% zoom, for example. And yeah, and the rest of the tool is basically the same. So you create your views and your design in Interface Builder, and then you link it with your Swift code. I mentioned earlier the notion of focus, and that's really specific to Apple TV. So at any point in time, you have one control in focus, and you can change focus by just scrubbing your thumb on the Apple remote. Most of the time, the runtime is really smart in the sense that you don't need to indicate what is the order of focus in any direction. It figures it out automatically. So, for example, here the content that has focus is the play button, and when I scroll down, the runtime is going to automatically look for other controls that are focusable and that are downwards of where I am. So, for example, here it's going to find this speaker icon, and it's going to switch the focus automatically down. Now, if I move left and go to the other speaker and then up, it doesn't find anything there. So I need to help it somehow to give it a hint, and that's how you do it in code. So you just intercept some events, and you nudge it in the right direction. Say, okay, now if you're going up from there, the next focus goes there. So that's the kind of, it's pretty smart usually, but sometimes you have to handle special cases like that. This is an example of providing items for the top shelf, so you don't have to handle the user interface yourself and so on. You just have to provide some implementation for interfaces, to provide some content, fill in some data objects, and that's pretty much it. And then all the loading, the caching of the images, the order of the display and so on, this is all handled by the Apple TV runtime. One thing that is important, and Said already mentioned it, is that on Apple TV, you don't have local storage. So the Apple TV comes in either 32 gigs or 64 gigs of storage, but it's only for storing apps and app content, but not your own custom content. So if you have, for example, you download a game and it has a lot of levels, then the levels are part of the app and it's all stored in this hard storage. But if you want to have a local database, for example, forget about it. You can't store that you don't have a documents directory, basically. You don't have access to it. So you're stuck using the network for a lot of stuff. One way is to use CloudKit. So it's kind of a server with a backend without having to write any code. You have a database there that you can store plenty of stuff in there. And that's actually what we use, for example, for the watch list feature in TVoxx. On the Apple TV at least, we store everything there. It also means that your Apple TV needs to be logged in to your iCloud account. And so you need to ask the user if he's already connected. Otherwise, you ask him to do it. So that's a limitation of there. Of course, for playback of media, you don't have to do any custom development. You already have this AV player that's provided, and it's really powerful, really customizable. You can inject some content, some advertisements. You can provide some metadata to show when the user is watching a movie and is scrolling down. You can see some metadata like the chapters and the description and so on. You can pause, you can scrub through the content. All that is provided for free, and you can customize it pretty much. So that's just how you. Here we provide the content, and in that case, the YouTube application is not automatically installed on the app on the Apple TV. So here we use a little trick where we retrieve the MP4 stream directly from YouTube to display it. As I said, there's this concept of parallax resources to show visually where the focus is and to make it more obvious. And I said that Apple provides some tools. So they actually developed a Photoshop plugin in order to let you export different layers of a visual content into a special format called LSR. And you can preview this LSR content in a small app that's also provided by Apple. And then, of course, you can import it in Xcode, and it does what it's supposed to do. You also have a simulator to play directly with your app on your laptop, so you don't need an Apple TV to develop. And it has this small window on the side that emulates the TV remote. It's even more painful to use with a mouse than with a finger, so it really makes it obvious that you shouldn't do any text input with that kind of thing. And of course, it's still sitting on your screen, very close to you. So always test your apps on a real TV in a real situation to make sure that it's perfectly readable and usable from a distance. And once your app is developed, of course, you have to use iTunes Connect to deploy your apps, to push it to the App Store. One specific thing that is really important compared to the Android TV environment, you cannot do hybrid apps on Apple TV. So even if some of the classes are the same, they are completely different code bases. So you need to, if you want to have a smart TV app that has an iPhone companion app, they need to have two separate code bases. So they need to be deployed to the different app stores, and they have different identifiers and so on. You can, though, make a link between the two. So you can say that this smartphone app, this iPhone app is linked to this Apple TV app in such a way that when a user installs one of them, then an automatic installation, of course, is set up. Then the companion app also appears automatically on the other device. But it's really two different code bases. So let's just have a look quickly at what TVoxx looks like. Yeah, you can just switch to the other screen. Yeah, that one.
This one.
So by the way, this Android TV, and it's kind of an official announcement. We said it on Twitter before, but the app has been published to the Google Play Store a couple of days ago now. So you can already use it to watch, if you have an Android TV, either an Android TV set or a set-top box, you can already use this app to watch all the content from all the past TVoxx for the past 2 years, I think, since 2015.
2 years, yeah.
And even those from this year that have already been published.
So to start the app, you have the TVoxx banners. This is the home screen. You can browse. You see this is a browse fragment, and you can here clear your cache, or this is the settings settings view. You have the watch list. You can review your the tools that you have added in this watch list of speaker, and your list of talks with all the tracks here. You can see here that the row are following the tracks. And well, if you want to view a talk, you can see here that this, for example, this card is a custom layout with the watch list, the duration, the rating bar. And if I click on enter, you can review here the talk. You have the image in the background, the description of the talk, the rating, and also the speaker somewhere here. And of course, you can play here the talk. So the application is calling normally YouTube, but I don't know what's happening here.
Maybe the network connection is
okay.
bad anyway.
Yes, that's right. And you have also the list of speaker here. So you can review, you can check by speaker, yeah. And you have also some bugs here.
So that's
yes,
an alert, by the way.
It's
an error alert.
It's YouTube that the YouTube application installed in the Android TV. So you can here choose your speaker and check here the related talks.
Random examples.
For example, the talks that we made yesterday about the blockchain here. So it's pretty cool. And all the animation is managed by the leanback library. And if you want to clear the cache just to force a refresh of your list of talks, you can do it here. And if you clear the cache, of course, the watch list is not clear because the watch lists are stored in the shared preferences of your devices. That's it.
Okay, so now let's switch back to the other. So if you want to learn more, we already showed that. So that was our backup. So yeah, overall it was really interesting experience, very fun. There are a lot of similarities, of course, with iOS and Android development, but with some specificities that really forced us to think in terms of UX design, especially with the 10-foot design. The focus aspect is kind of weird at first, because when you're used to multi-touch and you only have this focus, it's kind of limited. But again, everything is well supported by the SDKs. The documentation is pretty good. You don't find a lot of tutorials out there yet, but it's getting there.
It's quite pretty good with Google, with Android TV, yes.
So yeah, it was an interesting experience. If you want to learn more, here are the code is open source. It's on GPL2. You can find it on GitHub. The code for the Android TV app is still on Said's account, but we'll move it to the TVoxx account soon. And of course, you can. We can't give you a link to install the app, but you can search for TVoxx on either the Apple TV App Store or the Google Play Store, and just the links to the documentation. And that's it for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have 2 minutes left for questions. Any question? It was perfectly clear. Well, thanks a lot, Dan.
See you guys.